Friday, April 3rd, 33 AD. High noon in Jerusalem. Hundreds of thousands of pilgrims are crowding the city for Passover. Under a cloudless Judean sky, it is the brightest, most vibrant time of the year. At exactly 12 p.m., a sudden, suffocating darkness seizes the city. The temperature drops fast enough to make Roman guards shiver, and confused birds stop singing in the middle of the day. Skeptics often assume this 3-hour blackout was a later theological invention, but the event appears in secular, non-Christian records. First-century Greek and Roman historians like Thales and Phlegon specifically debated the cause of a massive failure of the sun that same year. The anomaly wasn't confined to the Mediterranean. Ancient archives from the Chinese Han Dynasty record an unexplained, severe cosmic disharmony around this exact time frame. A global shadow of this magnitude leaves a permanent mark. It provides a physical, historical anchor, an event too widely observed to be written off as myth. It forces us to ask what actually happened in the sky that afternoon. The historical texts are precise about the timeline. The darkness held over the region for exactly 3 hours, from noon until 3 p.m. To find the truth, we need to put the sky on trial. We will take the 3 most likely natural causes of sudden darkness and test them against the physical evidence. The goal is simple: test whether modern meteorology and orbital physics can explain a 3-hour void over the ancient world. The most obvious suspect for midday darkness is a total solar eclipse. But here we hit the Passover paradox. The Jewish holiday is strictly tied to the lunar calendar. It always falls on a full moon. For a full moon to occur, the moon must physically sit on the opposite side of the Earth from the sun, making an eclipse impossible. Even if we ignore the calendar, there is a strict biological limit to eclipses. Because of how fast the moon orbits, a total solar eclipse lasts a maximum of 7.5 minutes. We are investigating an event that lasted for 180 minutes. Based on the irrefutable laws of orbital mechanics, a natural solar eclipse was physically impossible on that date. Our second suspect is a severe meteorological event native to the region, a khamsin dust storm. These massive walls of desert sand can stretch thousands of feet into the air, effectively blotting out the sun and turning daylight into a thick, murky twilight for hours. However, physical mechanics matter. To suspend that much sand in the atmosphere, a khamsin requires chaotic, high-velocity winds mooring across the landscape. The eyewitness accounts explicitly describe a heavy, stagnant silence hanging over the execution site. You cannot sustain a 3-hour dust storm in perfectly still air. The meteorological profile completely contradicts the documented environment. The final natural explanation lies underground. A massive eruption from an underwater Mediterranean volcano could theoretically inject a high-altitude ash plume into the stratosphere, casting a wide shadow over the coast. We can test this. When volcanoes erupt, they trap specific sulfur compounds inside global ice caps. Geologists drill deep into these ice cores to read the exact atmospheric chemistry of the ancient world. The ice cores offer no alibi. Researchers have found no definitive sulfur deposits matching a global-level ash event precisely dated to April 3rd, 33 AD. Modern astronomical software allows us to digitally rewind the sky to that exact afternoon, tracking planetary alignments and gravitational pulls. The shadow remains entirely unexplained by gravity or meteorology. We have tested the physical environment, and the investigation leaves us with an empty room. Science has officially run out of natural suspects. When natural laws completely fail to explain a historical event, we enter a different category. A miracle is, by definition, the temporary suspension of physical laws by the author who wrote them. This sudden darkness served as highly effective psychological warfare. For the Roman military, it proved that despite their endless conquests, Caesar had zero jurisdiction over the heavens. For the Jewish population, the darkness matched a specific prophetic script. 7 centuries earlier, the prophet Amos wrote that the sun would go down at noon on a day of mourning. To those watching, the timing appeared to be a deliberate fulfillment of that warning. This was a highly targeted communication, directed at the era's 2 most powerful cultures. If we examine the event through its historical context, the physical withholding of the sun's light aligns with a specific claim. It suggests that when the figure on the cross, long described as the light of the world, was extinguished, the universe simply reflected that reality. At exactly 3 p.m., the light returns with the same abrupt speed as it left, signaling that the 3-hour transaction was over. Standing beneath the cross, a hardened Roman centurion watched the entire sequence unfold. The sheer physical weight of the darkness convinced him of what the teachings hadn't, leading him to declare that the victim was indeed the Son of God. Science can map the exact parameters of a 3-hour void over the ancient Mediterranean, but it takes faith to look at that dark sky and ask what kind of man has the authority to make the sun stop shining.